My name is Jamaine Atkins. So one thing that I found for sure, and I just wanted to make this clear before I went on. What I found is that where a person comes from and dealing with substance use disorder, that those are not connected. You know, people who deal with substance use disorder come from everywhere and anywhere, right? But myself personally, I grew up in Detroit on the West Side, and I have personally been dealing with substance use disorder, although I did not know it by that name since I was maybe about 12 years old. That's when I can really recall it, like, drinking and marijuana becoming something that I kind of latched onto, right? At that point, it was a coping mechanism. It was a coping mechanism that I didn't recognize because to me it was just normal. Everyone that I knew is this is the lifestyle that they were living, so I assumed that this is the lifestyle that everyone was living. Found out that that wasn't true either, right? But that was my perception due to my own reality. Yeah, and then the things that I was trying to cope with, it's just typical things that may happen and on the west side of Detroit, right? Just I think I remember my brother getting shot when I was 6 years old, and that was a fairly traumatic experience that kind of changed me. And the group of friends that I was hanging out with, back then we were considered to be like the bad kids, right? But we were really just a bunch of kids that had dealt with a lot of traumatic experiences, and we kind of held on to each other, for safety and security reasons, right? And with that safety and security, came I would say like loyalty tests, to say the least, right? Like if you are willing to do something that's considered to be bad, then I can trust you with my life, right? I joined the mentor staff at the Washtenaw County Veterans Treatment Court, and worked under Dr. Eric Fretz for a significant period of time. And he's actually been one of my mentors in life ever since then. I used to be a participant in the Washtenaw County Veterans Treatment Court because I had got caught, doing something stupid or another while intoxicated. So I ended up in that system. And upon graduation, I was reaching back and helping people like navigate through that system.
Yeah.
And I think that was, one of the really, really profound moments, in my life was just be to help other veterans. There was a 3-week period of time in 2013 where I was a student in Eastern Michigan, but because of my habits, I was homeless. It was February and I was sleeping in my car in the parking structure.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan University, right? And the VA hospital hooked me up with a place called the Robert J. Delana Center here in Ann Arbor. It's a homeless shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, just to walk in that place and have heat. Oh my God, it was life changing. I mean, it was heat. We had hot water. You know what I mean? It was food there, and I was just sleeping in my car, folding my clothes nice and tight military style, sleeping on top of my clothes, going into the gym at Eastern Michigan, working out, taking a shower, putting on those clothes that appeared to be ironed because I folded them so tight and slept on them that no one knew I was homeless, to being in a place that had an iron, that had a bed, that had all these things, right? And I always said that when I am able to, I'm going to come back here and volunteer. And I was able to do that back in 2016 and 2017. I would go on for, 4 to 8 hours a week and just fold blankets and just talk to people, That was another life-changing experience for me. But I think the most profound life-changing experience was that of my oldest son. So when he was in the 8th grade, he graduated from middle school, right? Although we spoke on the phone, he would come visit in the summers and pretty much stay at my mom's house, and I would go visit him there, I would never go to New York, right? Because I was behind on child support. I didn't want to get arrested, end up in Rikers.
Right.
But for his 8th grade graduation, I made a trip there, right?
Yeah.
And when I walked up to him at his graduation, he said to his friends, see, I told y'all I really got a dad. And that was the saddest thing, man. My son's friends thought that his father was imaginary. That's how absent I was. But every so often, he would call, you know, and he would say, hey, Dad, I want to come live with you.
Hmm.
He lived in New York, right? But I
Right.
wasn't able to say yes because I wasn't taking care of myself, right? So he would call and ask if he could come stay, but it wasn't possible because I wasn't taking care of myself, you know. But in but the year after I began to get my life together and there was no longer alcohol or drugs involved in my life, he called me and he was distraught, so sad. Oh, I want to get out of New York and I want to come stay with you, Dad. And I was able to finally say, you know what, son? I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to make sure that it happens. I'm gonna give him
Mhm.
100%. And I called his mom, and at first she was like, no, no, no way is that gonna happen.
Mhm.
Because my son at that time, he had just got in trouble with a police officer. He didn't get arrested, but he was doing something dumb, like trespassing or something, you know. And he came home smelling like marijuana. And that was when I was like, okay, I want my son to come stay with me now.
Mhm.
She and my ex-wife says, well, I don't want my son around, you know, you and all those drug addict people and
Oh,
alcoholics,
wow.
you know. And I said, well, yeah, you know, I can understand that. I am a person who would consider himself a drug addict or an alcoholic. But the thing is, though, I don't drink or use drugs anymore. So, and neither do any of my friends. No one that I know does. I
Yeah.
don't associate with anyone who does.
Mhm.
So, if our son is having issues where he's starting to smoke marijuana, I think that this is a safe place for him to be. And I had to ask her, I said, you know, there's nothing wrong with the things that you do, but I don't even have a glass of wine on the weekends with my dinner. And most non alcoholic people who are not in recovery can't say that.
Right.
I can provide a 100% drug and alcohol free environment. And I think that's what our son might need. And she
Mhm.
said, never thought about it like that. You might be right. So my son came down the next year. He was very unsure of the life changes that were about to happen for him. But
Yeah.
going from living with mom to living with dad,
Yeah. Yeah.
but he got on board with the standards that I had set. I gave him the these are the things you have to do list. I gave him the things that are these are the things you cannot do list. And in between, I don't care what you do, son, be you.
Yeah.
But he was in high school. I was in college. He watched me study for hours every day. He watched me talk to my friends about how drugs and alcohol is not the way to live and how being a part of the court system is such a hindrance and how we should avoid those and the things we should do to maximize our potential. And he watched me graduate summa cum laude from Eastern Michigan University.
Yeah.
I watched him graduate as valedictorian from his high school.
Yeah.
But when he would listen to me talk to my friends or the people that I had in my life that I was trying to help with substance use disorder, you know, I heard him and his friend talking to a third person in his room one day about how stupid it must be to be on probation and smoke marijuana, and how
Mm.
drugs are bad for you.
Mhm.
You know, like my son was on the path to emulating my behavior when I was doing the wrong thing. And when I changed and began to do the right thing, he began to emulate that behavior. That is the biggest gift that recovery has given me, is that I was able to help my son
Mhm.
to become the man that I want him to be, you know? And now he has a full ride to Michigan State. He's a junior. He lives on his own. He's doing his thing. You know, it's really, really good, right? But
Mhm.
after graduating from from Eastern Michigan University and growing my transitional housing company, then I was able to kind of sit back a little bit and try to reevaluate what it is that I wanted to do next, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up getting accepted into a PhD program, but I didn't like doing research. So a PhD really wasn't the route for me to take. So I ended up going into an MBA program, right?
Mm-hmm.
And while while pursuing that area of life, I was able to, like, because I wasn't studying as much, and the company actually started to balance itself out and things, I began to just take the next opportunities that became available to me. And one of them is I was at a meeting for an organization called Families Against Narcotics. Solid organization, right?
All right.
Super solid organization. But it was at a church that I was attending. They had a meeting there, and the guy who was running the show, he says, "Would you help pass out the microphones to anyone who wants to share their story? And if you don't mind, Jamaine, would you share a little of your story?" And as you see, I don't mind sharing my story, right?
Right. Right.
So I didn't want to go to this place to begin with, but I ended up there somehow. And I figured, well, they need some help passing a microphone. Because I really don't want to be here, I could just kill time by passing around the microphone.
Right.
And
Right.
I could just help these guys out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Next thing I know, I'm there every meeting they got, passing around a microphone. I'm meeting people. I'm enjoying myself. And I think it was last year, I was asked to become part of the board for Washtenaw chapter of Families Against Narcotics. And over the last year, we have been able to help so many people. And when I say help them, I don't mean just give them pep talks or just share information with them. Although we do that, the goal of Families Against Narcotics is to educate people on the recovery process, what addiction is, and help to remove the stigmas associated with that. We do that, yes. But at the same time, we've helped hundreds of men and women pay for their first month in sober living. We've helped them get into treatment. We provide peer coaching for them. We do a monthly meeting where we get people that are experts in the field of addiction and recovery and have them do professional presentations via Zoom that anyone can attend for free to learn more about what is actually going on in our society and what we can do to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
We do yoga for recovery, free. Like we try to help people as much as possible.
Yeah.
I was working at a local treatment center here in Ann Arbor when I took that position on. I had been working there for a couple years at that point as a resident assistant, right? It was just another one of those things where I felt like it is where I needed to be and what I needed to be doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was able to engage with these clients, at some of their lowest places in life, right? What felt like the lowest place to them, because they're in rehab, right? Struggling with everything that's going on in life, And when I was there, I was able to tell them, like, hey, this isn't your lowest spot. This is the point from which you climb to your best place ever. Like, this is the best moment of your life. This is not the worst, because this is your moment of pivoting your direction. And I they would ask me, like, what all type of things do you have going on, Jamaine? And I would tell them, I wouldn't do it, to like brag. I would kind of like ease things out as they came out, talk about like my cryptocurrency investments or like the education I've been pursuing, the companies, things along those lines. And then I would be able to tell them that I used to sleep in my car, bro.
Yeah.
The Jamaine you see today is not the Jamaine that was sitting in your seat just a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can do these things, you can do these things.